All right, welcome to episode 5 of Theater School Rejects. And if you didn't expect it to be in episode 5, neither did we.
Does that mean this is like The Empire Strikes Back, or is this the Clone Wars of our...
I'm hoping Empire Strikes Back, but that's really in the eye of the beholder.
We all shoot for Empire Strikes Back.
That is honestly the goal of sequels, right?
Yes.
Better, darker.
So at the end of this podcast, we'll find out that one of us is the other one's father, and the listens will just pour on in.
When we'll kiss our sister.
Oh yeah. So, just a big thank you, by the way, to all the people who actually tuned in and listened in. Not gonna lie, didn't quite expect so many people to do so, but I'm really glad people are enjoying it.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, really, that's like we got about 100 downloads in the first 5 days, and if we thought we'd get 100 downloads in a month, well, I didn't think so.
But it looks like people were into when we talked about mental health, which makes me happy because that's a cause near and dear to my brain.
Yeah, and we intend to do more of that. And you know, we're definitely bringing people in. We had a sort of a guest lined up for tonight, and they ended up not making it. But we have another guest that may or may not help out.
Expect a lot of that. Our friends and colleagues are flakes. To be fair, so am I.
Yeah, but they're also outgoing and really want to do podcasts. So, well, anyway, we're enough like preamble. As kind of you can see from the thumbnail art, I'm Doug X, spelled X. With you can find me at Love is Cthulhu on Twitter.
And I'm Robert Kyle, who's at Type O Nevermind on Twitter.
He's got 18 followers. Follow him. He's better than 18.
I did not actually know that thing until you just mentioned it.
I was on your Twitter handle. I was following you on Twitter. I was stalking you.
I'll try to find something worthy of being shared.
Okay, so we try and pay off the things we talk about that we say we're going to do. So we did look up to see what Napoleon from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure got up to in his succeeding career. And sad to say, things went downhill for him.
Well, I mean, he got roles, and he's been in several, shall we say, indie or smaller films.
Yeah, but he had to be in Jiggly, which is considered to be one of the worst movies ever made.
It is, although, to be fair, how many movies have you or I been in?
I know, but if you're going to be in a movie, like, you had to be associated with Jiggly. I mean, it's like... Anyway, apparently he played the pivotal role of Man in Dryer, as he's credited on IMDb, which I am sure was the highlight of the movie, and I'm tempted to watch just to see his scene.
Yeah, he deserves credit for being the only reason either of us are actually tempted to watch Jiggly.
Oh yeah, I really want to see it now. I just wish I knew where it appeared. And I don't understand, what the hell is he doing in a dryer? I'm fascinated. Is it going on? Is he spinning around and around? Or is he like a dead body in a dryer?
Oh, that would be sad. I don't think Jiggly is that bloody, but...
Are there no murders in Jiggly?
That could be the reason it failed.
Why they could have murdered Ben Affleck?
He murdered it himself, just from what I hear.
Oh. I mean, like, literally, like, if there was, like, a snuff film and Ben Affleck died, I'd, like, watch the shit out of that.
I know a lot of Batman fans would have appreciated that.
Oddly enough, I hate Batman, so I kind of wish Ben Affleck on Batman. It's, like, perfect.
I think there's very few people who, like, read or watch anything involving Batman for Batman. I almost said "to be fair" again, but I think...
That's your catchphrase.
It's my new catchphrase. That, and I love you with mouth.
I've never heard him say that, but he says that wasteland a lot. So feel free to write in the comments for him never to say that again. That's a good comment.
That would be fair. But, no, I mean, so... I think it's kind of hard to screw up Batman, but several people have managed it. Because with Batman, you just have to be the guy in the middle of all these colorful, like, interesting characters. Speaking of someone with who's an armchair, unlettered psychologist who doesn't know anything about psychology except for, like, the things I know.
Well, but you've got so much first-hand experience.
That's true.
I mean, there's no... You're the witness. Like, psychologists are, to an extent, are like observing it from outside. You're like the first-hand account.
True. But that's kind of like my point, actually, about Batman being a crazy person fighting other crazy people, and the really good stories are all about get into the crazy, pick apart the psychology, and most of it is actually very inaccurate when it comes to the actual school psychology. But fiction psychology is fascinating, where there's a traumatic event that just turns someone.
Yeah, right? Like, generally, crazy means I can't get out of the bed in the morning, even though there's pancakes. And, like, in comic books, being crazy is a superpower.
Yeah, like, in comic books, crazy is I put on weird makeup on my face. In, like, real life, real crazy is, like, I put, like, excrement on my face. Like, it's not nearly as cool as the comic books.
I don't know, man. Shit-face the villain, I think would probably go over really well. Not in DC, but in, like, Vertigo.
That would be like Vertigo or like Image during the Rust age of comics. There's a golden age.
I apologize for everybody about that. I do not advocate a villain named Shitface. And I'm sorry we talked about it. I'm not editing it out. It's in there, but I'm sorry.
Well, now I'm imagining an alcoholic villain.
Well, we got an alcoholic hero. We got Iron Man.
Oh, they should play with that more. I'm a little sad they didn't have the guts to face that in movies. To like really.
I thought they did in Iron Man 2.
It wasn't never directly about alcoholism. They sidestepped it. There was, and in 3 it was like PTSD Iron Man,
Would you ever see those in the back of Wizard, the magazine? They used to have like Toy Fair Theater, and they would have like these like it basically became. They animated it and put it on Adult Swim, Robot Chicken. But before that, it was like they had the toys and they put in script. And Iron Man always had like these like booze, like
yes.
bubbles over his head.
Yes, that was kind of his defining thing. Comics have had an interesting relationship with drugs and alcohol ever since that old Green Arrow where Speedy became an addict.
Oh, that's right. That's like considered one of the most pivotal episodes, right?
Yeah, I mean, this was, and honestly, really. I mean, it was. I don't believe it got the Comics Code seal of approval at the beginning, and it was a big, daring thing that they went ahead and published without the Comics Code seal of approval. And the whole thing is like, boy, you're really into them drugs and alcohol. You should really stop that. That was like the message of the whole thing. It wasn't like it was advocating, hey kids, go get smashed.
Well, addiction is not something you can shoot with an arrow.
Yes, or can you? And that's when the Green Arrow goes around just murdering addicts.
I was thinking more like an anti-addiction arrow, like he puts it in a serum or something. He just goes around shooting people, and you're like, I'm not addicted, but I've got a huge hole in my bicep.
I could see that happening in like the Arrow TV show, actually.
But not like just like a Cupid arrow, which just kind of tips you. Like it actually puts a solid hole through your bicep, and you've got to say, okay, my arm doesn't work, but I'm not addicted. Is this net loss or net gain?
Or you could just go around killing addicts, and addiction in the city would be lessened. Mathematically, it's a solid system.
I agree with you. It definitely reduces the problem one at a time. Like, there's a phrase in criminal justice, because as some of you might know, I'm a lawyer, is specific deterrence and general deterrence. And people debate whether or not stricter punishment results in general deterrence, or whether capital punishment represents general deterrence. General deterrence is the idea of, oh look, that guy got killed for doing this thing. I was going to do the thing, but I might get killed. I'm not going to do it. And specific deterrence is the individual you punish. And capital punishment is incredibly efficient as a specific deterrent. No one who's capitally punished does it again. And then the technical term for that is recidivism, whereas people who go to jail or prison very often do the same crime or some other crime again, so they have a high recidivism rate. Whereas, as you can imagine, the recidivism rate for capital punishment tends towards 0.
Yes. I would ever be very pleased if it was a non-zero number. I would love to read that story. I think in the comic books it's definitely a non-zero number.
Well, I'm sure someone's been executed and thought they had and escaped, or it was actually some other person was executed in their stead. I tend towards 0. It's just me being safe.
But and that is a big subject we could tackle. Maybe for a special hour-long episode if we go into criminal justice, the justice system, private prisons, and how they're actually kind of factories for taking people and turning them into professional criminals, and that kind of thing. Just spoiler for my politics, I am a sopping wet liberal. I'm so left I'm not even here anymore.
And don't look over here for any balance. I'm progressive and probably to the left of Robert. Bernie Sanders was my guy. And I'm still pissed at the DNC for giving debate answers to Hillary Clinton. And I would be, even the Republican side, like it's fat. Someone on Facebook posted, about Facebook posted, that's what we're going to do, about how the terrible super delegates and how they're so deep, like lobbyists for like big pharma and whatnot. And someone said, well, be fair, talk about the super delegates in the GOP. Super delegates in the GOP, and I researched this by Googling it and finding an article, because I was like, I had heard about the election that they just didn't have the super delegate thing. Like they weren't enough to sway the election, where it seemed like half the delegates in the DNC were super delegates, and were like that Bernie was already losing. Even if he got 55% of the vote, he would still lose because of super delegates. Whereas, anyway, this is a quick kind of available Google search. Republican super delegates are like 7% of the number of delegates total. Like they are just not significant. They don't hold sway. There's just not a number of them. And then someone's like, well, be fair about the super delegates. Why? They don't have the same influence. And in fact, and it was right there. And I posted the article, and someone said, yeah, talk about those super delegates. Yeah, be fair, treat sides the same. And I'm like, did you not see my link that says, and it was the headline attached in the link. It was clear, you could click on it. It was an established magazine. It wasn't like, InfoWars or even not Huffington Post, but it wasn't like, a Bleeding Heart, Young Turk site. It was from a mainstream news magazine examining super delegates. And yet people are like, I have opinions. I can't bother to click and check them.
Yes. Now, to balance that out, whereas Doug is all about Bernie, on the other hand, I actually worked on the Bernie Sanders campaign in Nevada and actually beat some pavement for him. And in Reno went for Bernie. Vegas didn't, but so yeah, we're pretty one-sided here.
I did not know that. I am glad to hear that you did that. Good for you, but putting boots on the ground.
Yeah, it got me a purple T-shirt. Very hard to get purple Bernie Sanders T-shirt, and very little else.
Have you tried selling on eBay?
That would be the capitalist thing to do.
It might make your rent.
Speaking about my making rent, my feelings about capitalism. Lately, I've been spending time with some extremely affluent people, and I've been saying things like, "So, when the revolution comes, where will you hide?" And letting you know that I'm pretty certain that rich people are delicious.
Tell the story. Tell the story about your trip on the metro.
So yeah, that was a little of dialogue I was giving. Briefly, just because it was an annoyance, but it was 3,000 people on this event called White Nights, and that's not as scary as it sounds, I don't think.
Is that White Nights N or White Nights KN?
Just with the N, so it's not that scary. But it was just a bunch of rich people out on this invitation only, exclusive dinner where they go to a mystery location. And so 3,000 people, rich people, all dressed in white with picnic tables and picnic chairs, all taking the metro for the first time, up on the Gold Line. And all these people like myself who have to take it because we need it to live, as they're making us late and not understanding you actually have to move to make room for other people. Making room for other people is not rich people's particular
the
skill.
World moves and parts around them. It's a field of wealth.
So I proceeded to just kind of slowly do what I could to stoke the fires of revolution there on the Gold Line. Traveling to Pasadena on my way to my job where I get rich and affluent people into a nightclub and do my part to be a part of the problem.
And tell them what you said.
So everything was when the revolution comes, where will you hide? I just feel like we should eat the rich. Not to sound like an extremist, but what do you guys think about just burning down all the churches and sharing all the wealth? Little ideas like that. And there was at least one of them who was visiting from afar. This Australian guy. He didn't give a damn. He was just like, I agree with you. Just burn us all.
And the rest didn't make eye contact?
The rest of them were all just I'm not very confrontational. I have my phone and my valuables clutched near me. And I was writing the day before, the person I got to share the train with was a homeless person whose smell was painful. Physically painful to be near this person, and I dearly, dearly wished that man was on the train that day, so I could share that experience with these lovely 1%ers. That being said, I really do hope I get to join them someday.
Yeah, me too. I went to UC Hastings for law school, and there was lots of pro bono work to be done and volunteered. It was great. There was lots of great opportunities. And I volunteered at the Legal Aid Access Center, where I help people like do name changes and get people, restraining orders against people who are harassing or stalking them. And there was also stuff where you could like directly help the homeless. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to do that. And I'm like, I'm all about helping the homeless, but I want to be near them or around them. Like, and I mean that. I definitely want to help them. I think they deserve help, but I want to help them from at least 10 feet away.
Yeah, that's when I get into at work. When we get a lot of mentally ill people who wind up on the street near us and babbling down the street, usually covered in their own filth. And every time I see one, I just hate Reagan even more for dismantling all the public mental health programs that he did. But by the way, it should be noted that Doug, if you don't know him well, the way he talks, he actually sounds to me, I would guess conservative. I didn't know him very well. Because he's got a very his accent and the way he talks, it's very matter of fact. He seems very nuts and bolts. But this guy actually does so much work helping the little guy. Like, I don't want to inflate his ego too much. But he actually does a lot of really good work, pro bono, helping people in need. He's helping a refugee case recently. I don't think I'm allowed to talk about any details.
No, but I'm helping 2 little kids with an asylum case because they're afraid if they go back to their country of origin, they'll get killed.
Yeah, he actually is literally, doing good guy things, so... I feel like you guys ought to know that he actually puts his money where his mouth is.
But I also hate people.
Yeah, that too.
And I think that's good enough for the episode today. Follow us on Twitter @LoveIsCthulhu, and
Typo never mind.
And we'll see you next week.